but you have to remain there on your knees, asking God for mercy. You are a pastor's daughter. Remember, your father is in the mission field. He's trying to bring souls to Christ, and you are here. I'll go to school and I'll ask my classmate, please, do you pray at home? Yes, okay, how long? They're like 30 minutes, 15 minutes. Why is my own different?
Wow. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you're very much welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. Now, I know it's been a while since the last episode of Honestly Speaking, but hopefully, by the grace of God, I want to believe that we are back this time. And I have a guest with me here today, and I'm going to allow her to introduce herself to us. So, Ms. Bathsheba, you're very much welcome. Thank you so much for coming to our studio. Thank you so much for making out the time to be here.
Alright, thank you.
So, I'd like for you to just, introduce yourself, tell us about yourself, what you do and stuff like that.
Okay. I'm Bathsheba Ezekiel, and I have a very special tribal name called Tirno. Yes.
What does it mean?
Daughter of God.
Oh, beautiful.
I love that name so much. Okay, I'm the firstborn in a family of four. There are four. And I'm a chemist. I don't know if that's important.
That's very much important.
I want to become a pharmaceutical chemist.
Oh, wow.
So I'm branching into the pharmaceutical chemistry.
Was that what you studied in university?
I read chemistry. Initially, I wanted to read pharmacy, but you know the way the country is.
Yes.
I was offered chemistry, so my aunt encouraged me to just go ahead and study chemistry and then look for other things I can do after that. So I started reading chemistry 100 level. By 200 level, I had fallen so much in love with chemistry.
Wow.
The intention was that I was going to write JAM again and then apply for pharmacy. But when I fell in love with chemistry, there was no need again. So I just continued, and then I started looking for a means of branching into pharmacy through chemistry. So that was when I discovered that there was a branch of chemistry called pharmaceutical chemistry. And immediately I was done. I felt it was time to launch into it because I love drugs. Everything that has to do with drugs.
I wish I could
Sentences.
Wow. Wow.
Yes,
I never knew that. I wish I could say the same about myself. I was a science student and chemistry was one of the subjects I hated the most.
Really?
In fact,
Wow. No, I didn't like physics, but I loved chemistry. Maybe because of my chemistry teacher.
Okay.
And because I remember back then I can score 59/60 in chemistry in my exams. So
wow.
I think I love chemistry. And my chemistry teacher used to tell me, you will read chemistry.
Wow.
And I'll tell him, God forbid. I cannot read chemistry. So when I called him to inform him that, okay, I've been offered admission and I was given chemistry, he said, I told you. And I just love chemistry actually. I can say I love chemistry.
Alright, that's beautiful to hear. So what about ministerial wise, or are you involved in any form? Of course not, you don't have to stand on the pulpit or anything, but can you tell us if you're involved in any form of ministry or outreach or something like that?
Yes, although I don't like giving it the name of ministry.
Okay, what do you want to call it?
I think that outreach is okay.
Okay, outreach. Christian outreach, or no Christian,
yes.
Just outreach.
Yes, like when people ask me, I say it's non-governmental organization.
Wow.
Okay, so I love teenagers. I work with teenagers a lot. And that's because I came to discover that the most difficult period of a person's life is that teenage age. If a person is able to get it right, make the right choices, then growing up into an adult will not be difficult.
True.
And that's my own discovery, is my own observation. So I figured that it would be nice to help these young people make the right choices. They should know what they have before you. Joshua always say, I set before you today life and death, choose what you want. So I believe if you can let them know the choices they have and then guide them into making the right choice, then it will go a long way in setting up a foundation for them and helping them go far in life. So aside that, I actually believe that God wants me mingling with teenagers, working with them and helping them. So that's what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then fun fact, in case you guys, I'm sure of course, how would you guys know this except you guys personally know her? But she's also a pastor's kid, a PK. Yes. So like how long have you been a pastor's kid? Is it all your life?
My life.
All your life. My goodness.
All my life.
Oh wow. Oh wow. So like what has it been like? Because usually when I some pastors' children that I've met with, they all have their own different testimonies. But have you ever felt like there was this pressure or expectation from you, by other people to maybe behave a certain way or be a certain way because your dad is a pastor?
Yes.
You have felt that way?
Oh my God. I remember back then in secondary school, people will behave wrongly, they'll do things and the teachers will take it lightly, maybe just scold them. But the very moment I'm the one involved, you hear things like, and she's a pastor's daughter. My principal will always hit that on the, you are a pastor's daughter. Remember your father is in the mission field. He's trying to bring souls to Christ, and you are here doing this, doing that. So it was, at some point I felt like it was choking me, like you are a pastor's daughter, you should behave in a certain way. But when I started growing up, let me put it that way, or maybe becoming matured, if it would be better, I got to discover that they are not wrong after all. These certain expectations have been there, even in scriptures. In the Old Testament, in the New Testament, the expectations have been there. At the point after Moses consecrated Aaron and his sons to be priests, the Bible says that the sons and daughters, his whole family, were allowed to eat, to partake of the sacrifice, which God considers as holy. So if Aaron's children should partake in a sacrifice that any other person cannot, then I think it is expected that they should behave themselves, they should behave in a holy way. And you can't partake of a holy sacrifice and just behave anyhow. Not everybody gets to partake of that sacrifice, but Aaron and his children get to partake of the sacrifice. So the expectations have been there. If you want to talk about the New Testament, the things that are to be looked out in a deacon, a bishop, you remember, talk about his family, his wife and children. So the expectations have been there for a long time. So when I got to discover that, I just raised up and I told myself, okay, if God himself expects me to behave in a certain way, then I should be able to meet up to that expectation. We cannot take out the fact that we have weak people amongst us. We have those that are feeble, and they are relying on what they see their pastor and his family do to also. I know that there are people that do point their children and say, look at this pastor's child. See how she's behaving, see how he's behaving. Can't you behave like that? So there are people like that. We can't just rule out this fact. So I don't think it's a very bad idea. Yes, it's not a very bad thing. It's the way it's supposed to be. A pastor's child, a pastor's wife, a pastor should be able to set examples for the believers.
Wow. And I actually think it's good because I feel like usually pastors' children seem to have a negative vibe or something because they are trying so much not to live in that shadow that am I the one who's doing the ministry? Am I the one who asked my parents to go and do ministry?
I remember saying it one time that, see, it was my daddy that was called. I can't remember being called, so
wow.
You should enjoy his ministry and leave me alone. Yes, I remember saying that one time because the whole thing was just too much. You can't dress in a certain way.
Yeah.
You have to cover your hair in a certain way.
Yeah.
If you just leave hair outside, people will be like, are you not a pastor's daughter? So what is it? I was not called though. My dad was called. Him and his wife should enjoy their ministry.
Oh wow. So at what points did you decide that, okay, this Christianity thing now, I'm not just going to pursue it because I grew up in a Christian home, but I want to pursue this for myself. I actually believe in it, because I'm sure you've heard of, people whose parents were pastors. We have even popular people today, and unfortunately and sadly, the children, they left the faith. So at what points did you decide that, say, okay, I'm going to pursue this Christianity thing for myself and not because of my parents?
Okay, I was 18 years, and one of the days during a family devotion, because then our family devotion used to be long, like our family devotion can be 2 hours. Morning devotion
during school days, or
yes, during school days, and when it's Saturday, it can be up to 4 hours.
What?
Because we start from 5 and then close 8-9 a.m. So I will go to school and I'll ask my classmate, please, do you could pray at home? Yes.
Wow.
Okay, how long? They're like 30 minutes, 15 minutes. Why is my own different?
Wow.
We have to sit down. Daddy will explain scriptures, and then I didn't know what he used to talk about.
Yeah.
I have to be sincere.
Yeah.
I used to feel like this man is just disturbing us. So one of the devotions like that, I think it was on a Saturday. The power of God was so strong. I know I felt it that day.
Yeah.
And prayers were going on. Mommy and daddy were praying like intensely, and the rest of us, because we are children, we pray small and you are using side eye to look at them like, what's making these people pray like this? Okay, but then daddy now said something that God just told him that there's somebody, yes, one of us is going to give his life to Christ today, and God is going to begin a walk with that person, a personal walk with that person. And he said, if you are the one, the Holy Spirit is going to be prompting you. Just raise your hand. And I can't remember what happened. I just know my hand was up. I can't tell you that I had it in mind
to raise
my hand, but I know my hand was up. And then daddy started praying for me. He told me what to say, what to pray about, and I followed. And after that day, I want to also tell you that I started following God up and down. But I know that day was remarkable because it felt different. The whole devotion, the whole Bible study, prayer felt different from that day. But when I got to school, that's university, because the whole God thing was just so overwhelming for me. Like every day at home, it's God. You can't do anything. My father wants to give you punishment. My father doesn't like flogging. He wants to give you punishment. He will say, you're going on sober reflection. I dreaded that punishment. Because he might give you 2 hours, give you a Bible passage to go and read, meditate on it, pray on it. And what will I be saying? I mean, it's a verse. When I just read, I use the verse and pray 1-2 lines. What else am I going to say? But you have to remain there on your knees, asking God for mercy. So for me, it was better if daddy would flog me and let me go in 5-10 minutes. But sober reflection was, I didn't like that punishment. It was a punishment for me. So the whole God thing was just, I felt I needed to breathe from all these God church things. So when I got to the campus, I refused to join the fellowship. I started following friends. But one of the days, I followed them to a birthday party. And while we were there, I heard a voice that told me, you don't belong here. I had to turn to check who was talking. There was nobody around. But that voice repeatedly said, leave this place, you don't belong here. Leave this place, you don't belong here. And I told my friends I want to go. They were not happy because the party was just getting started. And you're saying you want to go.
Yeah.
But then we left, and when I got to the hostel, I think I started thinking about a lot of things that night. And there was a day I went for Bible study, and somebody mentioned something and said, God has no grandchildren. So that night, that word, that sentence kept coming to mind. God has no grandchildren. So it means that if your father is a pastor, that does not automatically make you God's child. Yes, you have to be intentional about establishing your relationship with God. Being a pastor's child, you may enjoy some benefits, a certain level of covering, and many other things, but you see the matter of salvation, where you will spend eternity. It's not about being a pastor's child. So those things, it's like someone was cooling me that night, telling me all of these things that, see, when you die, God is not going to say, okay, this daughter of mine, her father served me faithfully, so because of that, I'm going to give her a free passage to heaven. No, it's not going to work. You have to walk with God faithfully, and then you can make it. So those things, I think that was the point where I knew it was time to start working with God. It was time, and I had to ask God for mercy, and then told God that day that I was ready to start up a relationship with Him. Yeah, and that was the point.
Wow, that's amazing. So okay, now as you now decided to be serious about your faith, like have there been times where because of how serious you were with your relationship with God, maybe it has cost you, romantic relationships or friendships or jobs or something, like maybe because you refused to compromise on your faith and then you received a certain kind of, backlash or a negative response because of that?
That one happens every day. Yes, it happens every day. It's just that I think I've always been a very stubborn person. When I say stubborn at heart. I may not look like it physically, but I've always been a very stubborn person. So when I decided to work with God, I think that stubbornness went to the positive.
Like Apostle Paul.
Thank you. So what someone thinks about me does not really move me per se. So if I know that this thing is right and I stand judged to right before God, whatever other people have to say will not move me. So when I'm starting a relationship, I tell the person, okay, maybe when I'm considering saying yes, tell the person this and this and this and this and this is what I stand for. If at any point you don't think it should be like that, please go your way. Yes, I do say please go your way. It doesn't mean that we are fighting. It's just that we cannot work together. Amos 3:3 says, can two work together unless they be agreed. So it doesn't mean that we are fighting, it's just that we cannot work together. So just go your way and let me go my way. Also, on the aspect of examination malpractice, this one was tough. Because I remember maybe in the exam hall, someone is begging you, please just help me. I've not written anything. And you know that this thing is wrong. And saying no to that person will look like you are being wicked.
Yes.
But I think one time, second semester, 100 level, I got angry and told the lady, copy. And she copied. And the lecturer that was invigilating saw that. And then collected my script and asked me to go.
Hey, were you done?
I was almost done. I think I had only the B part of the last question to answer. So I was almost done, and then I left. Then she called me, she sent for me and told me she doesn't know me with this kind of attitude, and I felt so bad. And that day I was supposed to conduct a Bible study in fellowship on examination malpractice. So I remember calling the Bible study coordinator, and I told him I cannot lead the Bible study because this is what I did.
Yeah.
So I just had to leave. But after that day, I told myself, if the person is dying, let he or she die, but I will not do that again. So when I come to the exam hall, I may be with my friends, we are discussing, but once it's time to enter the exam hall, I rush to the front and I sit where I'll be looking at the lecturer like this, so that nobody will have to ask me anything. So that's how I had to deal with the issue of standing up when it comes to examination malpractice. And other times, people will make you feel like you're overdoing this thing. Yes. They will make you feel like, are you the only person that is born again? Why are you overdoing this thing? It's not going to hurt. Like, this thing is not too bad. But, reading scriptures, getting light, makes me to know that if you want to be upright, then you hurt a lot of people. If you want to be upright, you have to overdo it. And let me put it that way, you have to overdo it because this is a matter of eternity. This is a matter of making God happy, having God delight in your ways. So I have to stand on what I believe and just go about it.
Right, thank you very much for that. So I think this is going to be my last question for you. What advice would you give to a couple, a godly couple who are dating and trying to maintain sexual purity in the relationship? What advice, what are some things you tell them? Just imagine now that you're a counselor. Yeah. Oh my God. You're a counselor, what advice would you give them on how to maintain sexual purity in the relationship?
What advice will I give?
Yes.
Okay. I think the first advice I will give them is be sure of what you stand for. Let it not be that somebody is cajoling you. Yes, to do what you are doing. Have a stand for yourself, not for the person you're in a relationship with. Know what God's will is for your life. Yes, so have a stand. And then secondly, make your stand known to, if I say partner, is it going to be bad?
No, it's not bad.
Okay, make your stand known to the person you're in a relationship with. And thirdly, set boundaries. This is very, very important. I was talking to somebody some weeks back and I told her that we are the ones thinking that the devil is playing with us. The devil is very serious. The devil is intentional about what he's doing. And I told her, I said, when the Bible tells us that devil is the old serpent, he's an old serpent, and he has been there for ages. He has made so many people fall. So you don't joke with such a person. You have to set boundaries and be deliberate about setting boundaries, in that you cannot just assume that because we have decided to be pure, then you go around, maybe stay in a secluded area just because you believe that we have made that decision, so nothing is going to happen. No. Make sure that when you are meeting, to be in an open place. When I say open place, my mom used to say that no matter how mad a person is, you can't stand outside and indulge in physical intimacy. No matter how crazy you are. So just be where people are. Remember back then in campus when some of our brothers are counseling sisters, what they do is they open the door, they raise the curtain, and people are like, you're overdoing this thing.
It's not overdoing, no.
Thank you. So with time I got to understand that, okay, these people are not overdoing this thing. They are just trying to prevent certain things from happening. Because there's no how the door will be opened, the curtain raised, and then you begin to misbehave. Because people are passing and they are looking at what you are doing. So don't just meet in an enclosed room and spend a lot of time, even if you are praying or studying the Bible. One of my daddy told me a story of a couple who decided on staying sexually pure until they get married.
Yeah.
And it happened few days to their wedding. They went up the mountain for a vigil. I mean, they prayed, they kabashed.
Only two of them.
And only two of them. You know? So just around 4 a.m. or so, they were done praying and decided to just rest before the place becomes bright. Then they go back home. And something happened. So within just few hours to daybreak, something happened. And it's not like they went up the mountain with the intention of doing something. It was to pray.
Yeah.
But you see, the devil outsmarted them.
Yeah.
And that's why the Bible will tell us that so that the devil will not outwit you. Do not be ignorant of his schemes. Know how he behaves, his strategies, so that you will not fall. And so your boundaries have to include the way you touch each other. May not look like it's a big deal, but the person may go back home thinking about it, and that may be the beginning of the devil sowing something into the person's heart. So even the way you touch each other while maybe talking and laughing, I think there should be a boundary to that. If possible, even hugging. I don't know, for me.
I'm with you on that.
Even hugging, please just keep it away.
Because everybody is sensitive in
their
own ways.
Be sensitive, be alert, be sober. The Bible says be sober, be vigilant. You can't just assume that everything is going on fine. Be watchful, even as you are praying, as you are hoping to keep to what you have decided on. Please be watchful, so that the devil will not outsmart you. I don't know if this will help. I'm not a marriage counselor.
I don't matter, you're a Christian. So that's what matters. Thank you so much. I feel like time has gone by so quickly. But yes, I think these are just some of the things I wanted to know. Thank you so much for coming. I'm not joking when I say that I've been blessed, I've learned, and I've been challenged. So thank you so much for making out the time.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you're very much welcome. And thank you guys too for watching. I hope you have been blessed by the words of wisdom that Sister Bathsheba has just dished out to us right now, And let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Give the video a thumbs up and hit on the subscribe button to join the family. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in another episode.
Alright, bye.
Bye.